Welcome to Rock Your Writing with Scrivener. I'm Catherine Felt, and today we're going to be talking about footnotes and annotations. They're very helpful when you're working on projects, both fiction and nonfiction. We're going to get started by taking a look at how to make annotations, find them within your manuscript, and then we're going to work with footnotes. We'll end the session by compiling our manuscript to see our hard work on the page for printing, for Microsoft Docs, PDFs, and more. While you can use a nonfiction project, we're going to use a fiction project because while nonfiction can allow for footnotes, only fiction can allow for inline annotations. So let's go ahead and choose the novel. And we're going to call it Test. Because this is a doc where we are simply showing you how to work on a specific tool, we're going to get rid of the chapter and scene that is already in this novel format. With our manuscript, I'm going to create a new text document by going to Add, New Text, and I'll call this Test 1. In order to have text to manipulate for our lesson, I'm going to go to lipsum.com, which generates lorem ipsum. Here we go. I'm just going to select it and copy. Because I want more text than this, I'm going to go ahead and paste 2 more copies of the lorem ipsum text. So now we have a nice amount of text to work with. But because we're not just going to work within one text document, I'm going to duplicate. So I'm going to go to Test 1, duplicate it, and I'll call it, by double clicking, I can change the title to Test 2, and I'll duplicate that and call it Test 3. Now, an inline annotation is a note directly on your manuscript. You can think of it as though you're writing a note directly on your manuscript with a pen or something like that. Now, we're going to go ahead and enter an inline annotation. We're going to go to the end of this paragraph. Now, to put in an inline annotation, we are going to go to Format and go to Inline Annotation. This is an inline annotation. As you can see, it's directly on the text. Now, if we're writing into this blank spot like I am here, and you want to go ahead and start writing other things that are not in the annotation, you need to go back up to Format and deselect Inline Annotation. And then you can write whatever you would like as part of your manuscript. We're going to go ahead and go to full screen mode, which, as you might remember, you go to View, Enter Full Screen, just to give us more screen space to work with. Now, inline annotations do not have to be red as they are in its default. If you would like to change the color of an inline annotation, you only need to put the cursor somewhere within the inline annotation, go to the color changer, color formatting, up at the very top of the bar, and select which color you would like. I'm going to go with purple right now. And you can see that the inline annotation has turned purple. Now we can enter more inline annotations by going back to Format, Inline Annotation. As you can see, it defaults to purple because we've recently changed that color. But if we go back into selecting within the annotation and click up here, we can change it to another color and it does not change the color of the inline annotation. Another great thing about the inline annotations is that you can change these colors to match different categories. For example, if you're worried about your characterization or your setting or your plot, you can give each inline annotation a different color. Unlike comments, where you have to look to the side to match it with the text to the left for what the comment is about, the inline annotation is directly there in the text. It's always visible and you don't have to scan. What we're going to do now is we're going to add more inline annotations. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our next document and pick a random place, and I'm going to go to Format, Inline Annotation, yet another annotation is what I'm going to put. So now I'm going to click in it, and I'm going to go up to the colors. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go down to the bottom where it says Show Colors. And on Macs, they have a selection of different colors that you can choose from, either from colors search where you can select from this list, or on Mac they have Crayolas. I'm going to go ahead and choose this orange right here, and I'll show you why I'm going for this instead of another way to look for the colors, why I'm going specifically for the crayons. So I'm going to select the orange, and you can see that it changes the color. Let's go ahead and put another one in here. Let's go ahead and put another annotation, Format, Inline Annotation, Random Annotation, and I'm going to change the color of this one to red. We're going to do one last annotation in the third document. I'm going to go to Format, Inline Annotation. The last one is what it says. And back up to Show Colors, and I'll choose a nice bright green. You might be wondering, what's with all the colors? Why did we put all these colors in there? Well, I'm going to show you how to search through your inline annotations by color, as well as words. So we're going to go up to Edit, Find by formatting, and you can see that there's several different categories that you could choose from to search within. Well, we're going to focus on inline annotations. You can also put in different text. You can search within selected documents, which would be test 1 here, or you can search all documents. And we're going to go ahead and search all documents to go within test 1, test 2, and test 3. And here's where the color comes in. You can either search any color of the different annotations that you have. You can limit it to one color. For example, if orange was your character notes, then you could go through the manuscript only looking at the orange notes. Or you could exclude a color from your search, for example, the orange. Now we have an orange, so let's go ahead and go to Limit Search to Color. When we click Next, the orange annotation shows up, even though we had selected a different document because we were in test 1, but it brings us to test 3 just to show us that annotation. We can go to another color. For example, the blue. We're going to limit search to that color and go to Next. And there we are, right back in test 1 with the blue annotation. If we decide to exclude blue from search, as we go through, find the red, the orange, the green, and the purple. And then it keeps going back through it all again. So now we wouldn't be looking at any of the annotations in that category. Of course, we can't discount finding different phrases or words within our inline annotations. To do that without the colors, go to Edit, Find by formatting. And we're going to go ahead and search within any color. That way we're focusing on the text and not the colors. Again, we're in inline annotations, and we're going to go ahead and search last. And as you see, the last one, our green annotation, shows up when we do our search. So you can search through color or through text. The next bit of annotations we're going to go over are the bookmark headers and regular bookmarks. So what you do to add in a header is you go to Edit, Insert, Bookmark Header Annotation. You'll see that there is a new annotation with 2 asterisks and a space after it. It's very important that the header has 2 asterisks and a space. Now we're going to go ahead and call this, see, sometimes it shows up automatically and has you inside the annotation, and sometimes you have to put yourself in there. So we're going to call this Title 1. Now when you go up to View and Text Bookmarks, you now see Title 1, which we just created. You can also add in sub-bookmarks. So we select some place within the document, Edit, Insert, Bookmark Annotation. You'll see that this one has 1 asterisk and a space. And again, you must have an asterisk and a space to differentiate it from other annotations. So you see, again, it didn't automatically put me inside. So I go inside and create a space and write subheader. Now when we go up to View Text Bookmarks, it has both. So we can select Title 1, or we can go to Subheader, and it selects Subheader and puts it at the top of the screen. So you can use this if you have different places in your manuscript that you want to bookmark. It's very simple and in the inline annotation, and when you print, you do not need to have these annotations within your document that you're printing. And I'm actually going to show you how to export all your annotations and how to have them on or off of your manuscript when you compile. But I'm going to show you how to do that once we've also learned about footnotes. So, footnotes. Now that we're ready to make footnotes, we're going to turn our attention to the inspector on the right. We're going to go down to where it has a little N in the comments. That's the comment and footnote. And what we're going to do here is we're going to edit a footnote. So, as you can see at the bar, it says comments and footnotes. And the plus sign right next to that is for comments. And then there's a little plus sign with an FN, which stands for footnotes. And then there's a minus sign, which means that you can delete the comments or footnotes. But right now, we're not going to focus on deleting. We want to add a footnote. So we're going to go ahead and click Add Footnote. And this is our footnote. We're going to add another footnote. Click somewhere else in the document, click the FN. This is another footnote. Now, they're both gray, and it's kind of hard to tell the gray within this manuscript the way it is. And it might even be hard just as you're scrolling, perhaps as we're looking at all the compiled documents, it might be hard to find where it is. However, if you click on the inspector where the footnote is, it highlights it. You can see the yellow popping up to show you where it is. If we scroll down lower where we cannot see the footnotes and again click, it drives our attention back up to that section of the manuscript. So one of the great things about footnotes is that even though it's kept in a list on the right, you can always find your footnote within the document by clicking on the footnote in the inspector. And the same goes the other way. You can click on the footnote and it shows which footnote you just clicked on. So if you're looking for the footnote for this particular word or sentence or phrase, whatever you have that's highlighted, you just click on it and it gives you the information. So far, I've just selected one word on these text documents to stand for our footnotes. But when you're working on a manuscript, especially one that has important information that you need to cite, you want to do more than just a word. So what I have here is I have a sentence that I'm highlighting. I'm going to go add another footnote. This is our longer footnote. The reason I'm highlighting more than a word is because it's important that the footnote goes with the exact information that you want to attach it to. So in order to ensure that the footnote goes exactly where it's supposed to go, please make sure that you highlight the text that is associated with that footnote. When you are working on your footnotes, you're putting in text into the inspector and you're adding in information. Now, it could be that your word count relies both on your manuscript and your footnotes, or it could be the opposite. But no matter what guidelines you have to follow, you can do that within Scrivener. So we're going to go up to Project and Project Statistics, and you'll see there's an Options button here. Now, you have different options. You have the Draft Statistics options and the Selection Statistics options. Now, what you can do is you can add the count footnotes, and then we'll change the word count of your manuscript when you go to look for your word count. You can either just exclude comments and annotations, exclude footnotes. So it's really up to you what you think is best for your project, but now I've shown you how to get there simply by going to Project Statistics. So play around with this depending on what guidelines you're working on so that you can be sure that you do the right word count. If you're going to be making a lot of footnotes, it's very easy to add a button to the top of the toolbar specifically for footnotes. The way you do that is you go to View, and then down to the bottom where it says Customize Toolbar. It shows you what the default toolbar is, and it also shows you where you can drag in new icons here into your toolbar. So we're going to find the footnote option, and we can drag it right up here. We could add the comment as well, and lots of other favorite items right up in there. So when we click done, you see it, we have that there. So now we can just click anywhere we want and add a different footnote. It's almost time for us to learn how to compile our manuscript and how to make our annotations and footnotes show up the way we would like. However, there is one more thing I'd like to teach you before we go to that step. Now, the inline annotations are in line with the text, but if you would like them to move to the side, you can do that very easily. Again, just think of the inline annotations as a note that you would write on your document. Comments are what would be to the side in bubbles for programs like Microsoft Word. If you would like your inline annotations to be switched over, that's extremely easy to do. To do that, you go up to Format, Convert, and you choose Inline Annotations to Inspector Comments. And then all of your inline annotations are then highlighted, and you have the opportunity to change the comments. And clicking on each comment will bring you to where you have made the comment. Additionally, just like you can change the annotations back and forth from the inspector to the document, you can do the same with footnotes. To do that, we're going to go back up to Format, back down to Convert, and we're going to choose Inspector Footnotes to Inline Footnotes. On selecting that, you'll see that the inspector is now empty, and the footnotes are now within the text. You can go and switch it back, converting your inline footnotes to inspector footnotes. You can choose whichever way is best for you. When it comes to compiling, you don't need to worry about which format it's in, as you have the option to export both types of footnotes into your finished manuscript. Just be sure that when you're putting in a footnote, you're either using the button to create a new footnote, or you are using the format inline footnote when you make your footnote, so that you can be sure that your footnotes are all ready to go when you compile. As we go into the compiling of our footnotes and annotations, I want you to be prepared. There are going to be a lot of options, and sometimes you have to try things out more than once to get it to do exactly what you want. But don't get overwhelmed. If you're feeling like you just can't get this, take a deep breath and exhale, because you can do this. You just need to get comfortable with the compiling functions. So we're going to go ahead and hit the compile button, and you'll see that there's several different options here. We're on custom by default, but if you scroll up, there are other options. We're going to go with standard manuscript format. The reason we're doing that is that the standard manuscript format already has defaults that we can work with most easily. Now, you'll see that down at the bottom, there's also a very long list of all the different things you can compile for, different formats you can choose. We're going to look at docx. You'll see that the options under footnotes and comments have changed. That's because each format that you compile, either choosing the formats from up here or the type of format from down here, adjusts the type of options that you have. Under Microsoft Word, it puts your footnotes at the bottom of the page by default. And let's go ahead and see that. We're going to call it Test Word. Now that it's compiled, we'll go open the document, and you'll see that at the bottom of the page, we have our footnote. Scroll down further, and we see another footnote. And there are no footnotes at the very end of the document. However, if you would like to have your footnotes at the end of the document instead of at the bottom of a page, we go back to compile, make sure that we're on standard manuscript format. We go to the same format, .docx, and here we have two options. We can either remove the footnotes, we can make the footnotes as endnotes, either the inspector or inline footnotes. So no matter which option you have chosen to do your footnotes in as you've been composing your manuscript, you can choose to export either one as endnotes. So let's go ahead and just select both of them, even though we have our footnotes in the inspector. So now we're going to go ahead and compile, and I'll call this test word 2. Now I have test word 2 right here, and there are no footnotes. However, if we scroll down to the very last page, we have our footnotes right there. The rules are a little bit different when we're compiling for printing or PDF. So let's go over that now. We're going to select the compile icon, and we're going to go down to compile for, and we're going to change it to print. You might have noticed that a new option showed up under compile. Now, these options are for publishing and proofing, the difference of which is explained in these paragraphs. For the printing or PDF, what you'll want to do is you'll want to choose proofing for your layout type if you're going to print that way and want your footnotes to show up. If you choose publishing, your footnotes are going to become endnotes. And it explains that in these paragraphs. So just remember, if you just want to go quickly into a printing or PDF, you need to go to print settings and select proofing as your layout type. Now we're going to take a quick look at what to do with your annotations if you'd like them to be on your compiled document. So we're going to go back up to compile, and we're going to select the standard manuscript format. Now there's different options under the footnotes and comments, and we're going to look down at comments and annotations. Currently, the remove inspector comments and remove inline annotations are selected. You can deselect these with incredible ease, and while we don't have any inspector comments in our document right now, if we converted our inline annotations to comments, then this would become more important. But for now, we have our inline annotations, and that's what we want to focus on. So we're going to make sure that this is deselected. And after we've done that, we're going to go ahead and select PDF. I would show you how to do it with print. However, the little print display does not do a very good job of showing the annotations in it. So we're going to go and compile for PDF, and we'll do test word 2. Right here. And you can see that we have the annotations directly in the text. We have one little last thing to learn before we go, and that is how to export comments and annotations. It's great having all these inline annotations in your document for you to reference as you're writing your manuscript. However, you might want to have a list of them, and Scrivener has an option for you to do that. To export just your comments and annotations, you're going to go up to File, then you're going to go to Export, and select Comments and Annotations. Now, it only wants to save as an RTF. However, an RTF can be opened in Microsoft Word. For example, I have it right here. And it will list your annotations in the order that they are in your manuscript. So this is another great way that Scrivener offers you a chance to work on your manuscript and have all the details you need available in many different formats. I hope that this has been a very educational video for you, like all the Scrivener ones hopefully have been, showing you how to work with annotations and footnotes. Scrivener has so many great ways to work with your writing in the way that best suits your own personal needs. And I really hope that learning this method has helped you find ways to work on your writing and rock your novel with Scrivener.